about once every 3, 4, 5 months I say this, is that I read you the Lord's Supper, and one of the things it says here is, therefore whoever eats this bread or drinks this cup of the Lord in an unworthy manner. And people worry about that. I mean, they should, in some respect. It depends on who the person is. The word is unworthy manner. It means unworthily. It's not that you are unworthy, because you are. It's Christ that makes you worthy, but it is unworthily. And the point is that you are coming forward, not with a flippant attitude. Okay? What he does in the chapter is he starts explaining to the people, I don't commend you for this and for that and one thing and another. And he takes them through a sequence of events. And he gets down to the point where he has to re-explain the Lord's Supper, implying that he had already told them. Now, if you remember 2 Thessalonians, he tells them, don't you remember what I've already told you? He has to re-explain things. And you can see he's almost miffed at them. I told you these things and you didn't pay attention. But thank goodness they didn't, because now we have that in writing, which we wouldn't have had. So the Lord knew these things. But he had explained to them the Lord's Supper. They did not pay attention. And so what they were doing is they were having a big party. They're out doing their own thing. They're rejecting the poor people, and they're just not having harmony between them. Okay? And so that is what brought about the issue. But that's not the issue. It seems like it, because even when he closes, he refers to something, he says, therefore, and it goes back to the beginning again. But the issue is the Lord's Supper. They were not taking it properly. Okay? And so he has to tell them how to take it properly. And so he goes through and he reads the Lord's Supper. And I made some notes so I could give you this without making an error in my thinking. I actually printed off my 1 Corinthians 11:31 commentary, and then I decided I'm not going to read that. I was up all night thinking about this. Like 1 o'clock at night, my wheels were spinning, because I just want to make sure that people never feel like they are not worthy. Okay, in yourselves you are not. Ron is not worthy to take these elements. But Christ makes us worthy. That's the point. So what you want to do is not come up here flippantly. And so here's just some thoughts that I gave. I'm not going to read the commentary or any part of it, but the point of the Lord's Supper is to remember what Christ did for us. If we say Christ died for me and all is okay, I can do whatever I want. What is that called? We use a term. License. Okay? It's license. I have a license to go out and sin. That is an unworthy way to act, and it is exactly what the Corinthians were doing by having a party instead of remembering the work of the Lord and what it means for us. Okay? He said, you've got the wrong attitude. I have to re-explain the purpose of the Lord's Supper. The question we should ask is, why do we even take the Lord's Supper? Right? That's what we need. What is the purpose of taking the Lord's Supper? Why would the Lord ask us to do this? It is to be a constant reminder of what he has done and what he continues to do for us. About 1:30 last night, I thought, there's only 2 things that the Lord asks us. Some churches add in a third, which I won't get into right now, but there are 2 ordinances. Anybody? Baptism and the Lord's Supper. Okay, I'll tell you the third one. Some people add in foot washing, and we can go through that in a study sometime. But right now, baptism and the Lord's Supper are traditionally what the Lord said to do these things, specifically told us to do those 2 things. Baptism does what? For your salvation, what does it do? Nothing. So why did the Lord say to do it?
Witness.
It is to show that you have accepted the gospel. You are now saved. The sin debt is paid. But, when the Last Supper, he went to the apostles and he wanted to wash their feet. Okay? And Peter said, no, you won't. And then he said, well, then you have no part in me. And they said, wash me completely, Lord. And what was his answer? He uses 2 different words. He says, those who have had a bath don't need. They just need to wash their feet. So there is salvation and there is ongoing sanctification. Baptism is salvation. The Lord's Supper, okay, if nothing else, the Lord's Supper, for those who actually believe in Christ, is a reflection of the doctrine of eternal salvation, and that we should not take that doctrine as a grant or license to sin. Everybody see that now?
Yes.
This says I'm saved. This says that I am sinning in my life, but I should not be, and I don't want to come to the Lord in an unworthy manner, okay? So what do I do about it? The Corinthians were doing just this through their actions. Paul first corrected them for not doing what he had originally instructed. He then re-explained to them what they should be doing. After that, he explained the repercussions for not adhering to his words, and finally summed up his thoughts, by telling them to not do what they were doing. For us, we have the instruction of what to do in 1 Corinthians 11. Once again, if they didn't mess this up, we wouldn't have this in writing, but we do. Let us judge ourselves so that we will not be judged, not for condemnation, but for rewards and losses. We are unworthy in and of ourselves, but Christ has made us worthy. Therefore, let us consider ourselves, judge ourselves in a short conversation with the Lord, and then come and partake of the Lord's Supper. It's the same thing as baptism. It's the only two things he asked us to do, minus the foot washing, which we can talk about some other time. He gave these things for a reason. Otherwise, this would be a pointless gesture every week. What's the point? There has to be something that tells us, I've been busy all week. I haven't been thinking about the Lord. I need to focus my life again on him. And I got thinking about all of the other churches I've attended that have the Lord's Supper, and they divert in one way or another. One was a really tasty way. We had a church we went to, and every 2 months they had a potluck supper, and they called it the Lord's Supper, which is exactly what Paul says to not do. That's not the purpose, right? It's tasty, though. Some of those ladies could cook. But the point is that weekly, as often as you do these things, do them in remembrance of me. I died for you so that you wouldn't be doing the things that you are prone to do. And when you do, I've already cleansed you. Just acknowledge that and don't turn it into license for sin. You are saved and you are eternally saved. And this is a reflection of that state for you. Oh, everybody got that? Good.